You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Like, what are some of the weird things you do that you found actually had a huge impact on your life? There he is.
Well, hello there. How are you, Evan?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Phenomenal. Thank you very much.
Now, are you on your treadmill desk?
I am on my treadmill desk, if you want to call it that. It only goes like 2 miles an hour, so I can still type at the same time, you know?
I'm on a trampoline.
You're on a trampoline. I don't think the way that I type, I don't think I'd be able to multitask like that.
When I'm doing something like this or typing, I have to kind of put my arm on the desk just to control me, because otherwise I'd be bouncing all day long.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like, I really love this treadmill desk. They actually don't make them anymore, this company In Movement. But I picked it up, and I just like to participate in some form of low-level activity during the day. And you'll be surprised when I'm in one of these conversations or on a podcast or something, I look down and I've done like 3 miles. So it's pretty cool.
And what's it set to? How fast?
It only goes 2 miles an hour.
Okay, only. That's it. That's the max speed.
That is it. So when I first got this, I thought, no, it's not very fast. Is it going to be any good? But you know what? It's the perfect speed for me to multitask and kind of work and type at the same time. It's got a big desk, so I'm happy with it.
Got it. I love it. Well, for ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Kris, he's a legendary trainer, health expert, biohacker, and I thought I'd bring him on to talk about health for entrepreneurs, because a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, really struggle to keep track of their health. They're grinding all day on their business. And I love even what you're doing right now. Like, if somebody's working right now, they could be on a treadmill desk, working away, still being productive, and also taking care of their fitness goals.
Yeah, I think the major problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have is that they think they have to go to the gym or do some form of exercise for an hour. And if they don't have their hour, they don't do it. So what I like to do with a lot of my clients that, that are high level, or high stress businessmen, I'll get them to do micro workouts. So every 30 minutes or so, they go and do like a minute of burpees. And then they'll do a minute of sit-ups and then push-ups and standing squats and jumping jacks. And then by the end of the day, you've gone through quite a lot of calories, and it really does help with their blood sugar regulation. So their blood sugar is that much more stable, so they're not getting as many cravings, they're not eating as bad. So I find that seems to be the perfect entity for that. There is an actual bike called Carol AI, artificial intelligence as well. And basically, it's like a 5-minute workout, and that works very well with a lot of entrepreneurs.
I love it. Now, you just finished coming through a fast. Are you done the fast? Are you still on it right now?
I just broke it now, literally about 20 minutes ago. Yeah, 36 hours.
So fast and seems to have taken off. I've done a couple of them. My longest was early this month. I did 66 hours.
Wow, nice.
Of just water, coffee in the morning, but like black, and sea salt, like the pink sea salt.
Yeah.
And that's it for 66 hours.
I've been doing fasting for quite a while now, for a couple of years, but usually around 16 hours. The longest I'd gone was 20 hours. So last week I thought, you know what, there's a lot of people out there during this time of quarantine that are kind of losing their discipline at this time. They're eating more, they're not exercising, they're not sticking to a schedule. Even though they're at home, they're not getting up as early as they should be, So, I wanted to, put in a little bit more discipline into people's lives that can have a transcendence effect. So I thought, you know what, let's do something that a lot of people don't want to do. Let's fast. So we started like a little bit of a Facebook group, started off with a 24 last week, 36 this week. Next week it'll be 48-hour fast. And then what I'm probably going to do is continue with that group, but then maybe every day we'll be doing cold showers, making sure that you're not hitting the snooze button or something else, because you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
And the group dynamic, I think, is super important, to have other people who are doing it so that you're not feeling like you're all alone.
You know what? It's helped me for sure, because last night, I was hungry, and I during the day I'm fine because I'm so busy. But during the evening, when you got time to think and I'm not sleeping as good because I'm hungry, that's when it's tough. But having that group dynamic and having that accountability, you're really putting your sincerity on the line. So I really like that. It's very powerful. It's a crowd source of inspiration.
What are you telling people right now when they're struggling to stay on their routine and probably eating more than they should, and gaining that weight because they're out of their regular regimen?
Yeah, it all depends who I'm talking to at the end of the day. It's like if you think of team sports, which I never really enjoyed. I've always participated in individual sports because you can have a coach that just yells at people. And some of those team players enjoy that. They like that. They're receptive to it. But other team players need some encouragement. So I guess it all depends who you're talking to at the end of the day. But, for the most part, I'm just telling people, look, we are going to go back to normality. So do you want to be one step ahead? Because it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to get back into the economic climate, to get jobs if they've lost their jobs or if they're on part-time or whatever it may be. They're going to have to be one step ahead of the curve. Use this time for introspective energy, because now we don't have to always be as distracted. So you can actually listen to your thoughts, get a little bit more creative. Don't have to have headphones in all the time. So you can actually, figure out exactly what you want to do and how you want to go about it. Unfortunately, like I've got a gym franchise that I own in India. They've all been closed down for the past, 8-9 weeks now. And my supplement sales from my supplement company has been down a little bit because we don't have the essentials that people consider, such as vitamin C, elderberry and stuff like that. We have more sports performance. So I've had to sidestep and really work on my books and my online training, which the bandwidth is expanded, immensely, which is great. But I can only do that if I continue to focus and wake up in the morning at the time that I usually do, go to bed at 8:30 like I usually do, and stick to that routine of disciplinary action. Because funny you said that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have time to go to the gym. I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if I didn't go to the gym, because that gives me my AA batteries in the morning. It provides the discipline that I need to be structured. It provides the blood flow to my brain, so I'm more cognitive receptive. I flunked in school. I did terrible at school. I hated school. But it wasn't until I went to college to start studying health and sports therapy that I started to retain that content. And it's because I'd started exercising, feeding my brain and my body with better fuel sources. So whenever I do some talks at like universities, I tell people, it's great that you're studying. It's awesome that you are getting this education. But if you're not able to retain that content because you're feeding your brain and your body with the wrong information, then you're not going to retain it. So, that's part of the parcel.
So let's talk about some of the weird things that you do, or at least normal for you, but other people might seem weird. So you're on the treadmill, great. I mean, the cold baths are now becoming a lot more normalized, I guess, but the red light therapy, the coffee enema, I don't even know what that is. What are some of the weird things you do that you found actually has had a huge impact on your life?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you just named a couple of them, for sure. People would think it's a little bit tinfoil hat. I do like to ground myself, earth myself every day. So I do have earthing mats around the house, but at my desk as well. I sleep on an earthing mat, but if I have the opportunity to go outside, it's been raining all this week, I'll earth myself outside. And I find that's really good, especially during the time now we have so much EMF and Wi-Fi and X-rays and gamma rays around us. I think it's very important that we get a lot of the negative ions from the earth. So that's one thing. I actually have a person called Ryan Hoyer from Shielded Healing coming to my house this weekend. And he's a geobiologist, and he will go through the house to see the highest levels of dirty electricity, maybe in my bedroom. So we have to make sure that, we can kind of mitigate that as much as possible. So that's one of the things. The infrared light therapy, yeah, sure. I think it's phenomenal. It really helps with my circadian rhythm so I can sleep better. And obviously, if I sleep better, especially my REM, I'm going to be able to retain more memory, more cognitive function. So every morning I do have infrared panels shining on my balls and everywhere else. And, it's good for the skin. But obviously, if I have the opportunity to go outside in the sun, then I'm going to get those restorative red lights there as well. I also wear these blue light blocking glasses for a couple of hours before, because, much of our time is spent on computer monitors, on phone screens, TV, artificial light. So again, to release that melatonin so I can sleep and relax and not be stressed, it all helps with the recovery, because we always think about go, go, go. burning a candle at both ends. Let's see how hard we can work and how long we can work. But you can only do that if you optimize your recovery. So recovery is always at the forefront of my brain, so I can perform and be a little bit more efficient with what I put out. Let me see what else I have. PEMF, yeah, you mentioned the coffee enemas. I only do that once a week. I don't make that a daily habit. And
is that a pill? Like, I don't even know what. I don't know if I want to ask. Do I want to ask? What?
No. It goes in a different orifice, not the mouth. So the enema, much like a colonic hydrotherapy, if you will, you just do this from home, and you want to make sure that you're getting you wouldn't want to be putting Folgers up your butt. You want to make sure that you have a high-grade coffee that is organic, that is mycotoxin-free, because unfortunately in the US, we have higher levels of mycotoxins in our grains, in our coffee, in our wines. So if you're mold sensitive, then that's definitely going to have a negative impact.
So, but is it like coffee, like a pill coffee that you put it? Is it the liquid? Like how are you?
Yeah, so you grind it, put it in a French press, fill up that French press, then you put it in a proper enema kit. Okay. And then you can lie on the floor in your bathroom or wherever you want. And then you just slowly allow this coffee, because obviously the container has to be higher than you for gravity to take it up the butt. Yeah, so it's a rectal. You take this coffee, and then you just hold it there for about 15 minutes, and then you go to the toilet, and you feel clean as a whistle after.
And so why coffee instead of just water or something else? I'm just curious, like, what's the benefit you're seeing?
Yeah, you get like a lot of selenium. You're going to get a lot of polyphenols that you're not going to get out of water. And, there's very few studies that do show this. But I've noticed that my liver enzymes do decrease. The inflammatory responders in my liver do decrease from doing coffee enemas. And, I learned this from my friend Ben Greenfield. So I've just been following that protocol, and it worked for me. So if it works for me, I'm going to do it. It's not something that I tell people to do. You got to figure these things out yourself.
It's like, how deep into Kris's world do you go, right? Like the starting point is the diet and the working out and maybe ice baths, and then we start going more. I mean, I love that stuff. I think people write it off as tinfoil hat, but why don't you just try it for a week and just see if it works for you?
Yeah, for sure. The fundamentals have to be in place. Unfortunately, in the biohacking world, people who have money see these shiny objects and get everything and think they're going to live to past 100 years old. But without the fundamentals of your sleep, your hydration, good food, organic, humane raised, wild caught, etc., and really focusing on those stress levels, those stress hormones. So waking up in the morning, make sure that you're not reacting to your phone. Maybe you start the day with meditation, mindfulness, and manifestation. All these things are going to have an impact that are free. And then you can look at the shiny objects of, and then you can start quantifying. So I wear an Aura ring, which tells me what my deep sleep cycle is, what my REM is. So you can see actually what is working and what isn't. I do wear a 24-hour blood glucose monitor as well. I'm not diabetic. But that tells me, what sort of implications certain foods or environments have on my blood sugar variability. So if I have an ice bath in the morning, my blood sugar levels are much more stable. And I've noticed as well, because it tones your vagus nerve, you're much more emotionally stable as well. So you're able to react to certain situations, especially if you're an entrepreneur, much better with more clarity than you would otherwise.
So it's constantly measuring your blood sugar level?
24/7, yeah. So you've got an app on the phone. There's two that I wear. There's one called the Nacho Libra, and the other one is called a Dexcom 6. The Dexcom 6 is a little bit better, a thinner needle, so it's not as uncomfortable. And I'll stay there for about 5-6 days.
Wow, that's wild. So it's just always in you?
Always, yeah. So you throw it like in the back of your arm. You can put it in your waist. I don't wear it on the waist because I wear a weights belt when I go to the gym, and it can be uncomfortable if I'm going running or anything like that. So the back of the arm seems to be pretty good. It's specifically for diabetics, so they don't have to keep pricking their finger. And because I type so much, I don't want to be pricking my finger every day.
Makes sense. So for the sleep ring, I'm always curious, what changes have you made? So great. So that you didn't get enough REM sleep last night. How do you then use that and make a practical change to your life so that you fix the sleep result?
So I always look to see what I did the night before that may have impacted it. So this is how I kind of got into biohacking initially, because I went to Dr. Spinald's clinic in Oldsmar, Florida for 6 weeks because I had mold toxicity from when I was living in Mumbai, India, which led to me only having like about 3 hours sleep a night. It was horrendous.
Wow.
But I had that typical entrepreneur spirit where I don't care. I'm still going to run my businesses. I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to out-train everybody. Go, go, go. And, I wasn't a good person to be around. So, I expended all of my options when it came to natural therapies, natural supplementation, even some types of medication. And when I went to Dr. Spinald's clinic, I found out about this mold toxicity. And following that, the 6 weeks there, severe detoxification protocol, I really started quantifying everything. And sleep was obviously one of the major things. So I've worn the Whoop, I've worn the BioStrap, the Aura, I find is really, really good for sleep. And the changes that I make come from supplementation, like magnesium is something that we are all pretty much deficient in today. So making sure that I have plenty of magnesium in the diet or supplement with it. You can even bath in it.
Which magnesium are you using?
There's a company called Calm. That's a magnesium, but the one that I use is by a company called Bioptimizers, and they have a magnesium that I think is very efficacious. But I also bathe in magnesium flakes as well, And if I go, so there's a place here called Stillwater Float, and they do float therapy. And I don't know if you've heard of float therapy tanks.
Yeah. Is it in total darkness too?
Completely? Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's it. So sensory deprivation. So occasionally I'll go there, and it's like 1,200 pounds of magnesium that you're floating in. So you get a good night's sleep after that, But there's certain types of CBD that I'll take, but at a very high dose, like 100 milligrams, to help with the deep sleep cycle as well. And tryptophan I have found as being the number one supplement at about 1 to 2 grams to really help with sleep.
All right.
And obviously, further from the supplementation, having a weighted blanket, making sure the room is completely dark. If not, you're wearing an eye mask. The bed has to be of high quality, obviously, because we spend, nearly half of our time in it.
Now, you said you got a book coming up. I know you've done some others in the past. So what's the new book all about?
Well, the book is just released. This one's just released. It's called Man of Iron. So it's all on like hybrid athleticism, because a lot of people that are into bodybuilding, they don't think that you should do any endurance. And a lot of endurance athletes believe that you shouldn't do any strength training. So I kind of merged both of them together, because I've always done cardio every day, twice a day, even as a bodybuilder and a bigger person. And a lot of people, including my peers, told me that it shouldn't be done. You should be a static ornament and just contain all these calories that you're eating. However, I felt that, the most important muscle that we have is not just our pecs or our delts, it's our heart. So I've always worked my heart. And so I decided to prove a lot of people wrong by saying, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months to do something extreme. What's extreme? An Ironman triathlon. So I went to the lab, did all the tests to show that I wouldn't lose any muscle. I increased my FTP, my lactate threshold, and I actually put on just under a pound of muscle during that 6 months. But I've continued to do Ironman and ultramarathon and Spartan, but still train like a bodybuilder as well. And so a lot of people have actually got into hybrid athleticism now. And the book is all about how to do both, but remain injury-free. Because funnily enough, more people get injured, like runners, for instance, as opposed to strength-trained athletes or bodybuilders or powerlifters. So that's something that I wanted to put out there to show that you can do both. Because so many people said, yeah, I took up kind of strength training, but I had to give up running. Or a lot of people started running and vice versa. So, you don't have to give up both. And I love actually doing both. I'm not going to excel in each one of them, but we can participate.
For injury prevention, is it the stretching? Is it just the frequency? Is it the muscle building? Like what do people, what do you recommend?
Again, it comes down to recovery, optimizing recovery. So sleep, making sure that you're getting all the right nutrients into your system, So if I'm going out on a bike ride and I'm going for like 100 miles, I'm not taking a couple of gels with me. I've got a little backpack, and I actually have my supplements. I have food in there as well. So it's kind of like a traveling buffet, if you will. But, for instance, when very few of us are going to get injured on a bike or swimming. It's usually running. So I usually recommend that people, if they have the opportunity, they'll either run on a curved treadmill or on the trails as much as possible. Only do the solid work when you're doing more, race specific towards the end of that cycle, and do a lot of ankle rotations and a lot of mobility work with the metatarsals in your feet, because the metatarsals in your feet are your suspension. But because we wear trainers the majority of the time, our feet switch off, and we need to turn them back on and improve the flexibility within those bones. So I suggest people wake up in the morning and start rolling to begin with, like on a tennis ball, and then they can move up to a golf ball. And usually when people stand on a tennis ball for the first time, it's extremely painful, because that connective tissue in the foot has just become so tight. But if you think about it, and you see people who are barefoot runners, especially trail runners, their feet are more like claws, they're more like hands, and that's how we're supposed to be.
So are you running in the Vibram shoes or the barefoot shoes?
I have the Vibo barefoot on me right now.
Okay.
Right now.
We're gonna see it. This is it.
Yeah.
Oh, what are those? Oh, are those the Japanese ones that wrap?
No, the Vibo barefoot. These are Vibo barefoot.
Oh, Vibo. Okay.
Yeah, but I do have the Vibrams as well. I actually have the Vibrams. So here's a nice little hack for you, with something called an earthy strapped to them. So it's like a bar, like a sticky bar that bends, that goes from the inside of your foot to the outside of your sole. So, for instance, if you're flying, I know that you travel a lot. Very little opportunity usually for you to earth yourself, especially if you've been up on the plane, surrounded by the gamma rays and people on Wi-Fi, people on phone, and then you have to go straight to your hotel, and then you go straight into your taxi or whatever it may be. You don't earth yourself because you're wearing rubber soles. So these bars